gonna begin by kind of telling you guys a little bit about my story. So I just started coming to this church about halfway through last year. Benny started bringing me, and honestly didn't know what to expect coming here. I guess I was kind of lost, and my spiritual life was literally next to nothing. I came to camp, and during camp I was kind of filled with the Holy Spirit and filled with God's love. And it was then that I realized that I was really struggling. Before that I actually started coming here, I was really just, there was nothing in me, and I really just hated who I was. And I got to a point where I was crying every night. After camp, I was on such a high, and I was expecting so many things in my life to change, and I expected God to just completely transform me and my walk with Him, and I guess things just didn't go out the way I planned. And at that point I was trying to control it. School wasn't going the way I thought. I was fighting with my parents a lot. It was kind of getting out of control, and at that point I just started thinking about my past and where I was, and I was really frustrated because I was God, you're supposed to save me. You filled me with the Holy Spirit. That was supposed to be my high with Him. I was just struggling a lot with this past semester. And then I just recently started reading my Bible a lot more, and I came across the story of Job. It was about a man who was just filled with God's, he was filled with a lot of love from God, and he was very faithful to God and just really blessed. He had everything he needed. He was with cattle, and I guess that's what it says in there, with the cows and everything. He's just really rich. And the devil said to God, he said, if you took that all away from him, he would curse you. And so God said to him, take it all away. And he said, very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself, do not lay a finger. So then Job ended up losing everything around him, and everyone started questioning God and him, including his wife. And then he was just, at one point he still kept faithful to God, but then he ended up questioning God, and when he was feeling discouraged, and then God put him in his place. God restored Job with more than he had before, and was blessed beyond compare. So a lot of people think that when you're suffering, you kind of ask God why, and you think it's a result of your sin. And that's what I thought too. I thought because I was struggling again, I was doing something wrong, and I started trying to control it and trying to fix it. I read this somewhere and I just thought it would be helpful, but many people see this as a stumbling block for Christianity and ask God why He allows suffering. Instead of asking God why, it might be better off to asking what. What is God up to, and what is He trying to produce in us? God often uses suffering to produce righteous character in believers, and sometimes He wants those who suffer to be more dependent on Him, and it might be that He's trying to get our attention. We might even be sinning. However, we can always equate suffering with sin in a believer's life, as we see with Job's experience. So and then one important thing from this story that I really took away was that Satan cannot lay a finger on Job, nor can he with us, and God will now not allow it. So God pretty much, Job went through a lot, but he's just never was actually really down. God was always with him, and that was the thing with me, is that I was suffering a lot last semester, and I was going through a lot, but God was always with me, and His love was always with me, and it never got to the point where I was just in that dark place again. And it was just so amazing that He was always there for me, and I just started realizing this a couple weeks ago, that I needed to actually go through that to see that I needed to lose more of myself and be with Him more and examine Him more. One verse that I always keep in mind is, the battle is not yours but God's. And I just feel I need to always remember that, because honestly I'm always asking why, but the question is, what is His plan for me? My challenge for you guys is to just trust God and never doubt Him, because He has amazing plans for every one of us. He loves us so much and pours out so much of His grace, which conquers all the suffering we may face. And the next time, instead of questioning God, just think about what He has planned for us. Because God knows how much we can handle, and He'll put us through some stuff, but it's only just for a greater ending. So,
Amen.
Yeah,